Vumelana is a non-profit public benefit organization. We have been around over the last 10 years. We were established through a founding donation from the erstwhile Business Trust. Our work really focuses on supporting beneficiaries of land reform in order to develop their land. We do this through supporting them by appointing independent transaction advisors who would assist them with investment facilitation so that they can bring in much needed investments into their land.
We did not have an expertise in terms of management of the farms before Vumelana could come in. Vumelana assisted us greatly because eventually we met the strategic partners, Lesser Force, and here we are, our farms are up and running again.
We have a situation where the beneficiaries are bringing the land and private investors are bringing capital, the skills, and access to market. So the transaction advisors would craft agreements that would be signed by these two parties and they would start working together. Over and above that, we would be supporting these beneficiaries of land reform to ensure that they've got administrative capability in place, governance in place.
As an investor, I would maybe prefer to have the best deal possible, but on the part of the CPA, that deal needs to be sustainable and ensure that there's a long-term relationship. Having someone to assist or broker that deal, I think goes a long way in making sure that everyone is happy and procedures are done and done correctly.
The model that Vumelana has introduced, which is a community-private partnership model, assumes that the community brings the land and the investor brings the capital. So what the CPP model actually does is make sure that we can mobilize private investors into the equation so that we can make sure that the land is used productively.
This model, it's easier for us because on our own, we cannot manage this land. On our own, we wouldn't be having the game that is in here. There is no better way than this PPP, the public-private partnership, because as the landowners, we own the land, but we don't have the skills, we don't have the capital to work the land. So this model works very well for us because we get investors who know the business, who have the money.
Working with the local community started when we started. Obviously, we employed them. And it was a bit later on that we actually realized that we can't have an island of conservation in a sea of poverty, and that we needed to work with our neighbors in the community to make sure that we grew together. We had a very good experience that was facilitated by Vumelana. There was a small land claim, and they reached out to the local operators, of which we were one, to see whether we would be interested in partnering the local community who were now the owners of this piece of land in the Great of Kruger. And we were very fortunate to win the beauty parade, if you can call it that, to become the managers of this lovely farm called Zalutsi, and where we've built the farmstead in collaboration with the Moloteli CPA.
One of the things we are doing is to empower community around business development, to develop a list of a number of projects, business and not-for-profit, programs, and get ourselves into prioritizing with the communities what, according to them, should be up at the top and should be down at the bottom.
The partnership arrangement works quite well in the sense that you would find that you've got people that are owning the land for the first time, who haven't been on the land for quite some time, and now they suddenly are in control of 26,000 hectares of land. They don't know necessarily how to develop that land. They need those people that can help them in terms of developing the land. And therefore, with Vumelana coming in, bringing over investors and getting into partnership, this helped a lot, because we coming with the land, they come with the skills, they come with the resources, and that together ensures that at the end, the community is able to benefit properly.
We have been working with the CPAs over the last 10 years, and our experience has been that there's a huge need out there for support for the CPAs.
What I like about Vumelana, they're trusted by both parties, and it's nice to have an impartial arbiter between. You know, if both parties trust a certain person or a certain organization, then obviously you can bring people together. It's almost like the diplomat between two countries. That's what I see their role as, yes. And because of that, we could find a middle ground. It's not the question of we and them. We are working together. We are the same company. We have a monthly meeting with our directors where we co-plan our plans for the future. Yes, and I think that that's an important way, not only for us, but for South Africa to go ahead. Yes.
Besingeke sikhone uma obekungekho usizo leli salithola kuvumelana ngoba sizamile siqalile kwezamazama sahluleka, but ngezivumelani manje sesizingeni la lapha nathi sesizibona khona ukuthi at least nami sengingabona kukhona kuzenzela ngingedwa ukuthi ngingenza njani ngiqhubeke ngiye phambili.
The agreement that we all negotiated has significant benefit for the community in terms of a rental that they earn annually from the developed area. From the income, once we start harvesting nuts, there is a certain percentage of income that they get as well. Apart from that, we have agreement with the community only to employ members of the community. Part of that is also skills training, and we want the community eventually to be able to develop and sustain an economical farm like this on their own in the future.
Our relationship is very healthy. They've been following the developmental plan as we agreed initially that whenever they take over, they had to resuscitate the farm. They have to make new development, which they've done. They have to train our people, which they are doing. They must employ our beneficiaries and some of our people who are non-beneficiaries. So they are complying to that. So it has got an economic impact in the village. People they are able to put bread at their table because of this relationship. And also through the base rental and the share of profit is something that our people are benefiting from.
It was very important for ourselves, Matuma, the Moleteles and Vumelana, that at the end of the project we give over a project that is a sustainable farm. And 10 years into the project we are still developing new orchards and replacing marginal orchards.
So Vumelana came into part 2019, and then that's when we started having discussions, and then they showed us how they will assist us. Vumelana sent out the adverts on lease proposals. The relationship between us and T-Spread is still fantastic. We agreed on rent, which they have started paying that rent. And then we also agreed on social development, whereby when they start working on the land, we agreed that they will go and do social developments at the community. Another thing is they will be employing from our community.
Post-settlement support is really critical. We need to make sure that at a point when you transfer the land to communities, you also simultaneously make sure that you provide them with the requisite support so that they are empowered to manage this asset. They are also empowered to make sure that they can use the land productively. Funding is such an important ingredient in this whole scheme of things, to make sure that organizations such as Vumelana are able to really fund this kind of initiative, so that it becomes a win-win situation for both the private investors and to ensure that the interests of land reform beneficiaries are safeguarded.